I want to start with a scenario that that sounds like a fever dream, but is actually a matter of public record. Imagine you are a celebrity, a huge celebrity.
Okay.
You have millions of dollars. You have a legacy that spans the entire globe, but you feel like your identity has been curated by, well, everyone except you.
Right, you're a brand, not a person.
Exactly. So in a move that is equal parts, I don't know, daddy's art project and like ultimate internet trolling, you decide to legally change your middle name.
A classic celebrity move.
But you don't pick something dignified. You don't pick, James or Michael. You put it up to a public vote on a website.
Which is already a recipe for absolute chaos.
Total chaos.
I mean, if the internet has taught us anything, it's that public polls usually end with names like Bodie McBoatface.
Precisely. And that is exactly what happened here. In 2018, our subject for today, he ran this poll. And the winning name, beating out other options like Shark Week and The Rake Biz Back.
Which are incredible options, by the way.
Fantastic options. But the winner was his own first name.
No way.
Yes. So as of 2019, the man formerly known as Macaulay Culkin is legally, on his driver's license, Macaulay Culkin.
It's ridiculous, sure.
Yeah.
But if you look a little closer, it's actually a pretty profound statement of ownership.
Tell me more.
Well, it's him saying, I am going to take this name, this brand that was forced on me as a child, and I'm going to make it a joke that I am in on. He's controlling the absurdity.
It's the ultimate reclamation. And that is the vibe we are chasing today. We are looking at the life of Macaulay Culkin. But we aren't just doing the Where Are They Now special.
Yeah, this is much deeper.
We have a massive stack of sources here. Biographies, court transcripts from the 90s, film criticism archives, and interviews leading all the way up to his work in 2026.
A huge range of material.
And the mission is to understand the mechanics of survival. How did the most famous child on the planet in 1990 walk away from a fortune, dismantle a toxic family dynamic, disappear into the indie art world?
And then emerge in the 2020s, not as a tragedy, but as a winner.
That's the question.
It's a case study in agency. I mean, most child stars are just passengers in their own lives. They're strapped in for the ride. Culkin grabbed the steering wheel at age 14 and just drove off the map.
So let's go back to the map before he drove off it. Let's go to 1980s New York, because I think there's this misconception that Macaulay Culkin was some pampered prince of Hollywood from day one.
It was the exact opposite. Totally the opposite. He was born August 26, 1980 in Manhattan, but not the penthouse version of Manhattan we all picture.
Not the Upper East Side.
Not at all. He grew up in Yorkville. His father, Christopher Kit Culkin, was a former stage actor who, he never really made it big. And his mother, Patricia Brentrup, was a telephone operator.
And the living situation, I read it was pretty cramped.
Chaotic is the word. We're talking about a small, railroad-style apartment housing 7 children plus the parents.
7 kids in a small New York apartment.
Yeah. They were struggling financially. It was a pressure cooker from the very beginning. And Kit, the father, he had these thwarted ambitions, He saw an opportunity in his kids, a way to get what he never had.
And that's where it all begins. Macaulay started acting at age 4.
4.
4 years old. I can barely get my nephew to put on shoes at 4.
And this wasn't just cute kid in a commercial stuff.
Yeah.
He was doing legitimate stage work. He had a blink and you'll miss it start in a thing called Back Babies at the New York Philharmonic.
So serious stuff.
Very serious. By 1988, he's in a film, Rocket Gibraltar. But the thing you have to understand about young Macaulay is the quality of his presence. He wasn't mugging for the camera like a lot of child actors.
No, there was something else there.
He had this weirdly adult, self-possessed quality. A stillness.
Which brings us to 1989 and Uncle Buck. I rewatched this recently, and it really, really holds up. You have John Candy, who is this force of nature, this comedic hurricane.
Absolute giant.
And then you have this little kid, Macaulay, who is just stone-faced. He goes toe-to-toe with him.
The interrogation scene.
Yes, the mail slot scene.
Yeah.
When he's grilling Candy through the mail slot. Macaulay Culkin wasn't a brand yet, but that specific energy, that confidence, it was all there.
That scene is crucial. It is the linchpin for everything that comes next.
Why so crucial?
Because it's what caught the eye of John Hughes. Hughes wrote and directed Uncle Buck, and he saw that Macaulay could hold the screen against a titan like Candy without flinching. He didn't get swallowed up by Candy's charisma.
He held his own.
Hughes realized he could build an entire movie around this kid. And that movie, of course,
Was Home Alone.
1990, the year the world changed for him.
I don't think we really need to recap
Yeah.
the plot of Home Alone. I mean, if you haven't seen it, welcome to Earth. But I do want to talk about the performance because it's so easy to dismiss it as just slapstick.
Yeah.
But he is carrying that movie completely.
He's the only person on screen for a huge chunk of the
A
runtime.
huge chunk.
It's a masterclass in physical comedy, for sure, but also in generating empathy. He goes from that bratty, I made my family disappear joy, to genuine terror and loneliness.
And the scream.
The scream, hands on cheeks, it became iconic instantly.
I read it was based on the Edvard Munch painting, The Scream.
It was, but Culkin made it pop culture. He took it from the museum and put it on lunchboxes.
And the accolades followed pretty quickly, right?
Oh, yeah. Golden Globe nomination, which is huge for comedy performance by a child. He won an American Comedy Award, a Young Artist Award. The industry recognized it wasn't just a fluke.
But let's talk about the business side of it, because this is where the story shifts from, a fairy tale to more of a cautionary tale. What was the paycheck for that first Home Alone?
For the first film, he made $110,000.
Okay, which for a 10-year-old in 1990 is a fantastic amount of money.
It's life-changing for a struggling family of 9 in Yorkville.
Right, but the movie.
The movie grossed nearly $500 million worldwide. It was the highest-grossing live-action comedy of all time for decades.
So the studio got a bargain.
The bargain of the century. They paid him pennies on the dollar for what he delivered. But when the sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, was greenlit for 1992, the dynamic had shifted.
Okay, so now they know what they have.
Now they know. And more importantly, Kit Culkin, his father and manager, knew he held all the cards.
The power shifted.
Completely. He negotiated hard. So Macaulay's salary jumped from $110,000
To what?
$4.5 million.
Wow.
Plus a percentage of the gross.
That is, math isn't my strong suit, but that's like a 4,000% raise.
It is an astronomical leap. It made him the highest paid child star in history at that point. But it also put a target on his back.
How so?
When a child starts earning that kind of money, they cease to be a child in the eyes of the industry. They become an asset class, a commodity.
Yeah, for Kit Culkin.
Macaulay became the golden goose that had to be squeezed for every last egg.
And the squeezing was literal in terms of his schedule. I looked at the timeline from 1991 to 1994, and it is exhausting just to read it.
It was a gauntlet. It's almost unbelievable. In 1991, amidst all the Home Alone fame, he does My Girl.
Oh, man. I'm still traumatized by the bees.
Everyone is. Everyone remembers the bees. But think about the risk of that role for a second.
What do you mean?
He was the funny, resourceful kid from Home Alone. That was his brand. In My Girl, he plays Thomas J., this sweet, allergic, sort of fragile kid who
dies. He dies.
In a family movie. It was a massive controversy at the time. People were outraged. But it proved he could handle tragedy. It showed he had range.
And he got his first on-screen kiss with Anna Klumsky, which was a huge tabloid moment.
A huge deal. He won an MTV Movie Award for that kiss, which is just the most 90s thing ever.
The same year, he hosts Saturday Night Live. He's in Michael Jackson's Black or White video. He is everywhere.
He was the most famous child on the planet. And then the pivot, 1993, The Good Son.
This is where things get dark.
This is where the cracks start to show, not in his talent, but in the management strategy. The Good Son is a dark, psychological thriller. He plays a sociopathic child who tries to kill his family.
It's terrifying. I rewatched a clip recently, and he has this dead-eyed stare that is genuinely unsettling. It does not feel like acting.
Critics were mixed, but looking back, it's a fascinating performance. He was actively dismantling the cute Kevin image, but the backstory is even more interesting.
I heard about this.
Kit Culkin essentially forced the studio, 20th Century Fox, to cast him. They wanted Macaulay for Home Alone 2, and Kit basically said, fine, but you also have to finance and star him in this other movie I want him to do.
There's a package deal.
Yeah.
You want the sequel, you have to let my kid play a murderer.
It was an absolute power play, and you have to wonder what's going on there.
That feels like the father projecting something, doesn't it?
It's very hard not to read it that way. It's like he wanted to corrupt the image that the world loved.
And in 1993, he also did The Nutcracker.
Right, because he was a student at the School of American Ballet. He was a genuinely talented dancer, so you have him playing this angelic prince and a child psychopath in the same year.
The duality is incredible.
But by 1994, the machine was just overheating. The burnout was inevitable. He filmed Getting Even with Dad, The Pagemaster, and Richie Rich back to back to back.
3 movies in 1 year. At 13 years old.
It's an adult workload, and the quality was dipping.
Richie Rich is almost too ironic to handle. the wealthiest kid in the world, played by the wealthiest kid in the world.
It was a meta-commentary that the audience was getting tired of. The box office returns were diminishing, the magic was fading, and Macaulay, at age 14, was completely burnt out. He was done.
He described himself later as a machine that couldn't turn off.
And this is all happening while Joe Pesci is saying he was very professional on set. It's like, of course he was professional. He was trained to be. He didn't know how to be a kid anymore.
And this leads us to the home front, which is, it's the really difficult part of the story. We've alluded to Kit Culkin being a tough manager, but the reality was much, much darker.
Much darker. In later interviews, Macaulay didn't mince words. He held nothing back. He called his father the worst person he's ever known.
I remember reading that. It's a brutal thing to say about your own father.
He described a regime of mental and physical abuse. He used the word violent. He said his father was jealous. Think about that. A father jealous of his 10-year-old son's success.
It's the Salieri complex.
Exactly. It's pure envy. Macaulay noted that by age 10, he had excelled at everything his father had tried and failed to do in his own acting career. That breeds a very specific, very toxic kind of resentment.
And that resentment manifested as control.
Absolute control.
Yeah.
And recently, in a 2025 interview, Culkin confirmed that he still hasn't spoken to his father in over 30 years.
A lifetime of silence.
Unnecessary silence from his perspective.
So 1994, the movies are flopping, the burnout is real, and the family unit implodes. The parents split up.
They never married, but they split. And a vicious custody battle ensued. But it wasn't really about custody of the children in the traditional sense.
It was about custody of the money.
It was all about the money. The mother, Patricia, filed for custody. But Macaulay, who is now a teenager and seeing all this, made a move that was legally sophisticated way beyond his years.
This is the part that is often reported as him divorcing his parents, but that's not quite right, is it?
It's a slight misconception. It's a good headline, but it's not legally accurate. He didn't seek emancipation in the traditional sense of becoming a legal adult overnight.
So what did he do?
What he did was take his parents to court to remove their names from his trust fund. He blocked them.
From accessing his money.
Completely. We're talking about an estate estimated at the time between $15 and $20 million. He fired them as his guardians in a financial sense and hired a neutral executor to manage it until he was 18.
So he cut off the money supply. That was the source of the conflict.
He severed the financial tether. He removed the reason for them to be fighting over him. It was a checkmate move.
And then he did the thing that nobody in Hollywood expected. He retired.
At 14.
At 14. After Richie Rich, he just stopped. Vanished.
He enrolled in a private high school in Manhattan. He wanted to be a normal kid. He wanted to go to school, hang out with friends, just exist without a call sheet.
But you can't be a normal kid when you're the face of the 90s.
You can't, but you can damn well try. And this period, from around 1998 through the 2010s, is what I call the wilderness years.
The wilderness years.
And honestly, this is my favorite part of his story. Because if he had stayed in Hollywood, the path was predictable. He would have done teen comedies, then some rom-coms, and eventually faded into a "Where Are They Now?" segment.
Right.
Instead, he got weird.
Weird is an understatement. He returns to acting in 2000, but not in a movie. He goes to London to do a play, Madame Melville.
A very respectable artistic choice, a way to dip his toe back in. But then, in 2003, he drops a nuclear bomb on his image with Party Monster.
Party Monster is a litmus test for Culkin fans, I think.
It really is. He plays Michael Olig, the real-life club kid promoter who murdered his drug dealer. It is gritty, it is flamboyant, it is queer, and it is absolutely drenched in drugs and nihilism.
To see the kid from Home Alone snorting drugs and wearing outlandish club gear, it was shocking. It was meant to be shocking.
It was a declaration of independence. He was burning the image of Kevin McAllister to the ground.
Was he any good in it, though? Or was it just shock value?
Oh, he was mesmerizing. He was fantastic. He captured that vapid, dangerous narcissism of the club scene perfectly. It proved he was an actor willing to take risks that would terrify any publicist.
And then came Saved in 2004.
Which I love.
A cult classic, an absolute gem. He plays Roland, the paraplegic, cynical brother of a popular girl at a fundamentalist Christian high school.
He's an atheist, and he's basically the only voice of reason in this whole satire about religious hypocrisy.
I feel like Saved was so far ahead of its time. It absolutely was. It would be a huge hit today. And Culkin's performance is so understated and brilliant. He has this dry, sardonic delivery that feels very, very close to his real-life persona.
Yeah, you can see the real Max starting to emerge in that role. But again, notice the pattern. He didn't use this critically acclaimed indie hit to launch a blockbuster comeback.
No, he kept zigzagging.
He wrote a book in 2006 called Junior.
I tried to read Junior. It's experimental.
It's very experimental. It's semi-autobiographical, very fragmented. It's full of drawings and stream of consciousness stuff.
Like a diary almost.
Yeah, it was him processing his relationship with his father and his fame through typography and poetry. It wasn't a bestseller, but it was him expressing himself as an artist, not a product. He was making things for himself, not for an audience.
And then we have to talk about the pizza.
We must talk about the pizza.
The Pizza Underground.
The Pizza Underground.
Please, for anyone who might have missed this glorious chapter, explain what the Pizza Underground was.
Okay. Imagine the Velvet Underground, the legendary, influential, super cool art rock band with Lou Reed and John Cale.
Got it.
Now imagine a cover band that changes all the lyrics to be about pizza.
I'm sorry.
Sunday morning becomes pizza morning. Femme fatale becomes pizza gal. All tomorrow's parties becomes all pizza parties.
And Macaulay Culkin's role in this was?
He played the kazoo and banged on a pizza box for percussion.
It sounds like a joke you make at 2 a.m. with your friends after a few beers, but he actually toured with this.
He did. They toured, and this is where the expert analysis comes in, because a lot of people mocked it. They saw it as a celebrity vanity project gone horribly wrong. He's lost it.
Right.
But if you look at it through the lens of Andy Warhol or dadaism, it's brilliant. It's anti-comedy. It's performance art. He is taking the absurdity of his fame and mirroring it back to the audience.
So the joke is on us for showing up.
Exactly. He's saying, you want to see me? You want to see the famous kid? Fine, watch me play a kazoo and sing about cheese. Is this what you want? It's a critique of celebrity worship.
But the audience didn't always get the joke. There was the incident at Rock City in Nottingham.
The infamous kazoo incident of 2014. The crowd started booing during his kazoo solo. They threw pints of beer at him. The band got soaked. He stormed off stage.
I mean, throwing beer at Kevin McAllister feels like a hate crime against nostalgia.
It was harsh, but it showed that he wasn't catering to them. He wasn't there to dance for their amusement. If they didn't get the joke, that was their problem, not his.
And that attitude is what segued into his next phase, which I find fascinating. The internet mogul.
Right, he becomes this very online, very self-aware presence.
This is where he starts showing up on YouTube. And not just anywhere. He starts hanging out with Red Letter Media.
This is a deep cut, but it really matters. For those who don't know, Red Letter Media is a YouTube channel based in Milwaukee, famous for their cynical, deconstructive film reviews like Best of the Worst.
They're the nerds.
Yeah.
They're very anti-Hollywood.
And suddenly, Macaulay Culkin just starts appearing on their shows. He'd fly out to Milwaukee to hang out, watch bad B-movies, drink beer, and just riff with them.
It wasn't a PR tour. It wasn't an interview. It looked like he was just hanging out with his friends.
Exactly. And that endeared him to a whole new demographic of internet-savvy people. He wasn't a distant celebrity. He was a cool, funny guy who liked bad movies just like them.
And he showed up on the Angry Video Game Nerd, another huge internet show, where he played a parody of himself.
He was embracing meme culture before most celebrities even knew what a meme was. And then he launched his own brand, Bunny Ears, in 2018.
Bunny Ears is hilarious. It's a lifestyle website, but it's a complete parody.
It's a direct satire of Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. He offers ridiculous health advice and surreal articles. It was him seizing the means of production. Instead of letting tabloids write about him, he created his own media outlet to troll the world.
And the peak of this whole owning the narrative period was the Google Assistant ad in 2018.
Yes, the ad. That was a masterstroke.
He reprised the role of Kevin McAllister 28 years later, recreating the iconic scenes shot for shot, but as a 38-year-old with back pain who uses Google to do everything for him.
It went viral instantly. It was him finally publicly saying, I'm okay with my past. I can laugh at it now. I'm in on this joke too.
That feels like the turning point. That's the end of the wilderness and the start of what we can call the Renaissance, the Macaissance, if you will.
I like that, the Macaissance. And it really kicks off around 2019. He starts taking roles that are less experimental weirdo and more respected character actor.
It did Changeland.
Directed by his close friend Seth Green, a really heartfelt indie movie.
Which is where he met Brenda Song, but we'll get to that. I want to talk about American Horror Story.
American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Double feature in 2021. This was the moment the mainstream critics woke up and said, oh, wait, He can really, really act.
He was phenomenal.
He played Mickey, a struggling writer and drug addict in Provincetown who sells his soul for talent. It was a raw, vulnerable, deeply moving performance. He wasn't relying on nostalgia or his persona. He was just good.
And the creator, Ryan Murphy, said he wrote the part specifically for him.
That's how much respect he had earned. And he followed that up with a great little part in The Righteous Gemstones, which is comedy royalty right now, and a voice role in Kid Cudi's special, Intergalactic.
He was curating his career perfectly.
And look at where we are today. In December 2023, he gets his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That speech, I think I cried watching the clips.
Everyone cried. Catherine O'Hara, his mom from Home Alone, gave the speech.
The perfect person to do it.
She called him the dearest thing. It was this beautiful public reunion that felt like a healing ceremony. It validated his entire journey. The industry was welcoming him back, but on his terms.
And professionally, he is on fire.
Yeah.
In 2025, he voiced the character Catrick Linksley in Zootopia 2.
Which was the second highest grossing animated film of the year.
Right.
That is a massive mainstream check. That's a Disney movie.
And he joined the cast of the Fallout TV series for season 2, which is one of the biggest shows in the world.
These are not indie projects. These are global juggernauts. He has successfully transitioned from child star to indie recluse to respected mainstream icon. It's a trajectory that almost never happens.
It's unheard of. I want to pivot now to the personal side because we've talked about his dad, but his romantic life has been pretty fascinating too. He got married incredibly young.
He did. In 1998, at just 18 years old, he married actress Rachel Miner.
18 is so young. I was still trying to figure out how to do laundry at 18.
It feels like a rebellious move, likely, a way to create his own family unit away from the one that had hurt him. They separated in 2000 and were divorced by 2002.
But people often forget his next relationship, which was a massive long-term one.
His relationship with Mila Kunis for nearly a decade, from 2002 to 2010.
That's right. She was at the height of her That 70s Show fame, and he was deep in his wilderness phase. They were like the ultimate cool alt couple of the 2000s.
And they were incredibly private about it. They grew up together, essentially navigating their 20s. She spoke in sense about how his level of fame was just impossible to deal with, how people would scream when they saw him in public.
That must be so draining.
But his current chapter, his current partner, is Brenda Song.
The Disney Channel star, London Tipton herself.
They met on the set of Changeland in 2017. And they seem to have built a really solid, quiet life together. They have 2 sons, the first born in 2021 and the second in 2022.
It's really nice to see him as a dad, given his own complicated father issues. It feels like he's breaking the cycle.
It really does. But we do have to address a bit of a hiccup in his public record regarding that relationship.
Right. We have to be objective.
In 2018, he appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience. And the conversation turned to his relationship with Brenda, who is multi-American. Culkin made some jokes about their future children that made a lot of people pretty uncomfortable.
He talked about wanting pretty Asian babies, right?
Yes. He used the phrase tiny little Asian babies and compared them to Sean Lennon because he's the son of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. He also joked that he was allowed to make Asian jokes now because he was going to have Asian children.
Yikes.
Yeah, critics at the time felt it was fetishizing and really insensitive. It was a moment where his edgy internet humor didn't land for a lot of people. It's a reminder that while he is a survivor, he's also a guy who grew up in a very strange bubble and has some blind spots.
Speaking of bubbles, we cannot avoid the Michael Jackson connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most controversial and complex aspect of his entire biography.
It is the elephant in the room of his life story. They met during the height of Home Alone mania. Jackson reached out to him, and despite the huge age gap, they became best friends.
And Culkin has defended him to the death, fiercely.
He has, and we have to look the legal record here.
Hmm.
In the 2005 trial where Jackson was accused of molesting a minor, Gavin Arvizo, Culkin was called as a defense witness.
And he testified under oath.
He testified under oath. He admitted to sleeping in Jackson's bed many times, but stated unequivocally that Jackson never molested him, never touched him inappropriately. He called the allegations absolutely ridiculous.
And he hasn't changed that tune, even after all the documentaries and new allegations.
Never, not once. In a 2020 interview with Esquire, he doubled down. He said, "Look, I'm a 39-year-old man. I'm not afraid of anything. If I had something to say, I would." He said, "I never saw anything. He never did anything to me."
He's also the godfather to Jackson's 3 children. He attended his burial in 2009. He calls Jackson family.
He does.
Why do you think that bond was so strong? What was the psychology there?
I think they were two of the only people on Earth who could truly understand each other's lives. They were both globally famous at an age when they should have been playing with toys. Their childhoods were stolen by fame.
So they saw a kindred spirit in each other.
I think so. And for Culkin, Neverland Ranch probably wasn't a trap. It was a sanctuary. It was a place with video games and a zoo and a carnival. It was a place to be a kid away from his controlling, abusive father.
That makes a lot of sense. A sanctuary from the real predator who was at home.
It reframes the whole relationship when you consider that context.
Now, we should also touch on his own legal troubles. He wasn't totally squeaky clean during the wilderness years. There was the mugshot.
The 2004 arrest in Oklahoma City. This is often blown out of proportion, but let's look at the actual facts. He was a passenger in a car that was pulled over for speeding and an improper lane change.
Okay.
The police searched the car and found 17.3 grams of marijuana.
Which is a decent bag of weed, but not exactly Scarface levels of trafficking.
Exactly. And they found some prescription pills, alprazolam, which is Xanax, and clonazepam, Klonopin without a prescription bottle.
So anxiety medication.
Right. He pleaded guilty, got 3 one-year suspended sentences, and paid about $6,000 in fines. Compared to the heroin overdoses and bank robberies we've seen from other child stars, this was relatively minor.
It suggested he was dealing with anxiety and wanted to chill out rather than a spiral into heart addiction.
That's how it seems. It was a blip, not a defining crash.
So, bringing it all to the present, there was one moment on social media that I think defines his current relationship with us, the audience, the tweet.
For the tweet, August 2020, the tweet heard round the world.
He just wrote, "Hey guys, want to feel old? I'm 40. You're welcome."
And it became one of the most liked tweets of all time. It peaked at number 9, I think. It was like millions and millions of times. It was trending globally.
Why did that simple sentence hit us so hard?
Because Macaulay Culkin is the clock by which an entire generation sets its watch. If Kevin McAllister is 40, then the millennials are officially middle-aged. We can't pretend we're kids anymore.
He held a mirror up to all of us and said, "Time moves on."
And he did it with that perfect, self-aware, slightly troll-ish humor that defines him now.
But time has been kind to the Culkin clan recently. We have to shout out the siblings. Kieran Culkin.
The Culkin dynasty. Kieran, who played the bedwetter Fuller in Home Alone, became the breakout star of one of the most acclaimed shows ever, Succession.
Roman Roy. He won an Emmy, a Golden Globe. He's a huge star in his own right.
And Rory Culkin, the youngest brother, is also doing incredible, interesting work in indie films and TV. It's amazing that from that one small apartment in Yorkville, 3 significant, respected actors emerged.
Though not without tragedy in the family.
No. His sister Dakota died in 2008. She was struck by a car in Los Angeles, a terrible accident. And his half-sister Jennifer died of an overdose in 2000. So again, his life hasn't been a fairy tale. It's been marked by profound loss.
Which makes his current stability, his current happiness, feel even more earned.
It really does.
He's living in Toluca Lake in Los Angeles. He sold his New York City apartment that he bought as a teen for a $6 million profit. He's working on Fallout. He's a dad of 2. He's private, but engages on his own terms.
He won. That's the only way to describe it. In the brutal game of child stardom, he found a way to win.
So here's the final thought, the provocative question for you to mull over. We look at his life, the abuse, the burnout, the weird years, and we usually say, "Oh, poor Mac, he had it so rough." But I want to ask this, was the act of quitting the thing that saved him?
I think absolutely, 100%. If he hadn't walked away at 14, if he had tried to push through the burnout and stay under his father's thumb,
He would have been another statistic.
I don't think we would be talking about his renaissance today. I think he would be a tragedy on the evening news. The wilderness years weren't wasted time. They were him building a self. He had to kill Kevin McAllister to let Macaulay Culkin live.
That is a mic drop moment. He had to kill the character to save the person.
And now, all these years later, he gets to be both.
If you want to see the incredible acting chops, go watch his season of American Horror Story or find a copy of Saved. If you just want the vibes, go find that Google Assistant ad on YouTube.
And maybe order a cheese pizza in his honor. Just maybe keep the kazoos at home.
Agreed. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.